All right.
Ready? Play.
Ooh, it's 6 a.m. for me. It's 9 p.m. for Vanch, right? We are here watching Ben Shelton and Tommy Paul. And actually, just before we started, Vanch was already just putting me through some very interesting thoughts on the matchup and how they played at the Australian Open and the US Open this year. So I'll let him get back to it. It was just one of these moments when before the stream we already start talking, and you're like, this could actually be on the stream. Like this actually could be a conversation we could have on the stream. Let's not waste it. Let's start, especially as Tommy Paul and Ben Shelton are already warming up.
Yeah, first match of the day, pretty exciting. The quarterfinal action. As I see that Terry is tuning in, so hey Terry. Um, and yeah, I mean this is the third installment of Shelton versus Paul this year, and it's 1-1 in their head-to-head, and second time in a quarterfinal. And um, last time Paul got the better of. In the first meeting this year, Paul got the better of Ben in 4 sets at the Australian Open quarters. Um, Obviously, that time, I think Paul went in as a favorite, the more experienced player, certainly in having been to second week of major before. And I just felt like he was more solid from the back of the court. And Bill Shelton was still a bit raw, obviously, first time in such a big position against a somewhat top player at the time, top 25-ish. So I think that was a good experience for him. He was kind of able to work his way back into the match, make it a tight four-setter, and then they played each other this year in the fourth round of the U.S. Open, and this time I think people were expecting Paul to make a deep run along with Tiafo, and it was Ben Shelton who surprised both of them, and ended up playing a lot more solid from the back of the court. And basically, what we're seeing now is we're seeing a version of Shelton that has the athleticism, has the big serve, obviously that he's always had with the speed and also how well he can mix it up, but he's just a bit more solid now from the baseline. He can hang in baseline, rallies better. I feel like the backhand has been, improving steadily. There's just his shot tolerance overall. He's making better decisions. He's not panicking, as much in close situations. And I just feel like, he's put together a string of many match wins in a row now since the U.S. Open, where basically we were looking at him only winning back-to-back matches once in a challenger in between Australian Open and the U.S. Open. So, now we've seen it, I think, on 5 occasions. So, now before it was only two. So, and then now we've seen it, in basically his last three events. So, I don't know which way this one is going to go, but I think so. I would not want to bet on a match like this because it's fairly even, I would say. But I think Paul is a slight favorite according to the bookies. Just been playing, you know, straightforwardly winning so far this week. But how do you kind of see this one panning out? Do you have a prediction?
Not really. Like part of why this is exciting is that I don't. And as you said, I mean, the matches at the Australian Open and the US Open were definitely drastically different. I think these were also ones where like the conditions mattered so much, because at the Australian Open you had very fast sort of flat hitting conditions, and actually at first I thought that maybe this is good for Shelton in this matchup, but it turned out that not really. I mean, Paul is
Yeah,
just able to counter punch without giving up ground, sort of stays on the baseline, takes time away. That wasn't great for Shelton, but at the US Open you had that these heavy balls, the ball sat up a lot more, and then it's just so much time for Shelton to crack the forehand and eventually overwhelm Paul this way. Tokyo, I guess, is like between in the middle of these two. Like it's pretty hard for me to understand who will be favored by the conditions here. I guess I would probably agree with Paul being like a slight favorite, but it's really the smallest of edges possible to me. And yeah, I just absolutely have no clue. There's also this added sort of storyline of Paul potentially fighting for the ATP finals
yeah,
spot. I mean, honestly, right now, him or Deminor winning this title, they would be in a fantastic position because they would be like 100 points away from Runa, who is struggling like crazy at the moment. So I don't know if this plays into it yet. I mean, it could in the final maybe,
Mm.
especially if we get a Paul Deminor. Can we get a Paul Deminor final? We can, right? They're not in the same half.
Yeah,
So
they're not
if
in
we
the
get
same
a Paul Deminor final, I think that would probably play into it a little bit more. The
Mhm.
pressure would actually be appearing there. Here, maybe not yet, but yeah, generally speaking, I do think that what we've seen so far from Shelton and Paul this year in the rivalry just tells us that this is a matchup that is so close that basically form of the day or conditions can edge it very easily. So
Mm.
yeah, just expecting another good battle. And then, as you said, Shelton hasn't maybe been winning his matches as comfortably, but that's been Shelton, right? Um,
Yeah.
he has been started. I mean, he has started winning back-to-back matches in tournaments, as you said,
Mm.
3 times in a row now. But he still needs like a lot of um, I mean, he still needs a lot of tight matches, usually tight moments to go right for him. Most of the time, it's just at the beginning of the year, at the middle of the year, they weren't. So I don't know what to think about that, but certainly it's a different style to Paul, and I think it's okay that he had a little more trouble playing Taro Daniel and Jordan Thompson than Paul did against different opponents, of course, but.
Yeah. Tricky opponents also for Ben. Thompson was playing really well this
One
week.
is tricky. One
So,
is not.
yeah.
Shouldn't be. One shouldn't be. One definitely, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and of course, I remember Paul started really strong in the U.S. Open match that we were just referencing. He went up 3-love.
Hmm.
He had a couple of break chances. I believe he missed a very easy kind of forehand passing shot at the net, and that would have given him, 4-love in the first set, and then we're looking at a very different match basically because after that, then Shelton ends up winning 6 of the next 7 games,
Yeah, and
and
should
then
have won in straights really, but
yes,
choked the
it
first
was
set
actually
away.
that game at 3-1 where he hit those two serves that were, the fastest of the tournament. Like 149, 147, that
Yeah,
kind of territory. And then, yeah, from then on, he kind of choked a little bit. And then we got to a fourth. And, one kind of loose game at 4-5 in the fourth really kind of decided the match. But I think Paul was a little disappointed in his level that day because, he'd come through that match against Safiullin in the second round, the really tricky one, coming back from 2 sets to love down. And then I think we were all kind of looking at a Paul Tiafo final. Sorry, quarterfinal. I think when I saw the draw, that's kind of what I thought, that one of those two was
yeah,
going to get to the semis and face Djokovic again, probably. Um, but yeah, this is a pretty good step for Shelton to be now. I think where is he at in the rankings? Somewhere around 18, 19.
yeah.
That's
Definitely top 20.
yeah,
Currently, the live rankings he was at 19 live rankings. He's at 18 because he is
yeah.
ahead of Felix, but of course it's super close between the two. So basically, he will stay in the top 20. With a title, he could get to top 15 even over
Mm.
Kachanov and same points as Tiafoe. In which case, I believe he would be ahead of Tiafoe because he should have more slam points plus Masters 1000 points, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Tiafoe could have a run at an ATP thousands that I don't remember, but I'm not sure he did.
And is it that the ATP takes the best 18 events, best 19? Is it 19 or 18?
It's 18
18.
plus ATP
But
finals.
oh,
So
okay. Yeah, so 19 if you include that. Okay. Makes sense. Yeah. For the WTA it's 16. So it's
yeah,
a little bit different. But
there used to be a year with another exception. Was it ATP Cup maybe? But of course
mm,
that was like during the
yeah.
pandemic. But right now it's back to 18 plus ATP
Okay.
finals. Yeah, and the tiebreaker, of course, if you have the same ranking points, is going to be that the most amount. I mean, who has more points from the slams and the ATP thousand events? And actually, when I'm looking at it, it's possible that Tiafoe would have more than Shelton. Not that it matters all that much. Shelton would still be in the top 15 with a title,
In terms
but
of points.
Mhm.
Yeah. You mean in terms of ranking points at the yeah he would because from the Masters events he definitely would have
Yeah,
won. Yeah.
yeah, he actually has quite a lot. Quarters in Paris and semis in Indian Wells. So it's I don't know. I'm not gonna count it because it's not really a point of discussion. Terry, I don't think we've heard from Ghosty in like a month or so. Probably not since the US Open. But John said that there was a point like that in the history of the channel where Ghosty was out for like 2 months and then returned. So who knows? Maybe he's gonna be back. Maybe he's busy with real life. Maybe he just doesn't care about tennis after the US Open. Who knows? He is so American that he doesn't care about tennis after the US Open.
That
Although
is
he
a very
should be
American
watching
thing.
Shelton Paul.
That is a very American thing. Like I have friends who don't follow tennis very closely, and they're like, "Wait, tennis is still going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we tennis never stops. Okay, it starts in
True.
December, finishes in December, so there's no break."
And finally, one wish that I have for Christmas this year is that the ITF events that are going to be played at Christmas should have
Mm.
streaming. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
such a such a terrible thing. You've got a brilliant
Oh,
chance for lots of the tennis world to watch a 15K, and yet you don't do. I mean, you just don't buy the cameras, I guess. Well, that's a hot start
oh,
from Tommy Paul. If he can win this
yeah,
point, hitting some amazing forehands, and he indeed
right.
gets there. And maybe again
That's
we're
the best
seeing,
version of Tommy Paul going after the forehand. Like when he does that,
Mhm.
he becomes top 10 player for
Yeah,
sure.
his level definitely depends on the quality of his forehand quite a lot.
Mm.
It's the difference between an excellent match from Tommy Paul and just an average
Yeah.
performance. Although his average performance is still really good. I like this. They're basically the opposite of each other in a way because Shelton, once he wins his first round, he's gonna go deep, and bench and Tommy Paul basically always wins his first round. I believe outside of the clay season, he has only lost his first round once this year, and it was against Daniel Medvedev. So I think we can, but, it's fine.
Oh yeah, that was in
Tommy,
Beijing. That
don't
was a
worry.
really bad draw.
Yeah, don't worry, Tommy. It's not your fault. Although winning just 3 games was probably disappointing.
Yeah. Well, that was saved by an ace and one really good serve plus one. So we're at deuce.
Well, that's one of the main advantages, I guess, that Shelton has over Paul. Well, not that Tommy is a weak server, but
Yeah. Smart to just use the block return, get into the rally, but he just misses. Sprays the backhand wide. Yeah, this would be a big hold actually if Shelton came through this. Avoid going down 3 love early, like he did in the first set of the US Open. Though it didn't actually end up mattering like we discussed.
I don't know, Terry, if Ghosty has paid his membership. I don't know how to check that. Probably you have to have the access to the YouTube studio or something. I just have the access to the stream service, not YouTube itself. So you have
I
to
know he
ask
did
John that.
earlier in the year. I don't know if he's still like he did it for
Yeah, yeah,
1 year.
that's why Terry that's why Terry is asking because if by if he renewed it, we would
Oh,
sort of
okay, yeah.
know if he's fine or not. No, I mean I'm sure everything is fine, right?
Although Ghosty goes on a lot of other shows sometimes. Like
Oh yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
yeah,
I,
he's
I,
always
I
he's a frequent YouTube tennis content
yeah.
keeper.
I've heard that he is on like what Gil Gross's channel a lot, and also Gain to Love or whatever. I honestly don't watch any tennis YouTube basically, so I wouldn't
Not enough
know.
time.
But John told me that.
Not enough time in the day. Too much content these days.
Yeah,
So
basically.
saturated. I mean,
Uh,
it's like everyone has a podcast now. So
yes, I I know people laugh about it that everyone has a podcast, but recently I just realized that it's actually true. I mean, I was just scrolling through Twitter and I saw like two of my friends, colleagues from the internet,
Yeah,
announcing that they're gonna have a podcast. I'm gonna have a podcast. Like everyone has one. I basically have like two right now. If you count these talking tennis shows,
yeah,
maybe you could even go up even further. Well, I definitely have at least two. One with you, and one. Well, one now by myself. Earlier with Jakub.
yeah,
So yeah, it's definitely true, and I really struggle to understand how people find time to listen to them, but especially for like I feel like most of the content is still dedicated to someone who is slightly less, well, not into tennis, but like not paying as much attention to it as we are. Like it's usually kind of hard to find content for a nerd like me or you,
yeah,
because, well, you already know all of that stuff that you're gonna hear about, basically, and that's
yeah,
obviously quite natural because fans like us, I mean, we are just a small, small, small percentage, smallest of percentage probably, smallest of percentages, and that's why the content is not really directed at us because that wouldn't make sense.
yeah,
But yeah, like from my perspective, it doesn't really make that much sense to listen to most tennis podcast content.
mm, yeah. It's like now you have to find a way to kind of be creative because
Yeah, definitely.
create a podcast that is made for nerds, then chances are the audience that you have is also very astute and like follows the game pretty closely. So then it's
Hmm.
like, up to you. Like, do you want to use some humor maybe? Do you want to mix things up a little bit? Maybe bring on some interesting guests. Maybe just continue doing what you're doing and you're bringing something unique and fresh in our insight, which I think like we try to do as good of a job as we can and ends up working. But yeah, it's like
Yeah, a couple of talking tennis people recently started this show, which I'm interested in how it goes. It's obviously not for me, or probably for
um,
not for most
it's
people
called
from
Grounds
this
Pass.
audience.
Is that the one?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly, from Nick and Anastasia,
Yeah.
and yeah, I wonder how this idea sort of is gonna pan out, because I think it's a really good concept. Um,
Yeah.
but personally, I haven't listened, but yeah, basically, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the concept is that they are going to sort of introduce tennis to a larger audience. I mean, larger, at least an audience that doesn't fully know what they're watching yet, and sort of just get them into it. And I think that's actually a fun twist. I don't think I've seen a thing like that, sort of tennis for dummies edition, like the books. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good, really good idea. I really like the concept of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think we're doing
Mhm.
episodes every other week, and it's a bit chill and conversational, and it feels like kind of trying to be informative for the casual fans who maybe only watch Wimbledon or the U.S. Open. So it's a good initiative. It's see how it goes. Mm. Let's see. Yeah, so it looks like we're on serve 2-1. What did you make of Shimbakuro coming out with that insane comeback against Fritz in that
That's
third set?
Mochizuki. That's Mochizuki, not Shimabukuro.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I can't blame you. I mean, they look the
I always
same.
do that, dude. I mix those two up. It's
They
like
look the same. They have the
they,
same
yeah,
games
and,
basically. Just great feel for the ball, but whenever they get overpowered, they can't do
Mochizuki.
anything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it makes sense,
The
honestly. Uh,
2019 junior
Wimbledon
Wimbledon
champ,
champion.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think Shimabukuro had a slam
no,
championship, so that's the only difference between them. That's how you can actually discern between the two. Yeah, honestly, I was very surprised at that. I recently I didn't know if it was actually if he actually misspelled it or not. But a friend of mine recently called on a group chat. He said Shitaro instead of Shintaro, and it was kind of funny to me. And I started sort of calling him that in my head because No, but Shizuki, as I said, I mean, he has amazing feel for the ball, really. At Wimbledon, I mean, he won that Junior Slam title because he was so good at the net as well. But it's
Yeah,
sometimes with this sort of lightweight physique, it's definitely hard to get to the net even, or like just
yeah,
show that control that he has. And yeah, I was just stunned by this win. For Taylor, it must feel so disappointing given the sort of chance that he had in the ATP finals this in the ATP finals race this week. Also, he played Popperin right in the potentially in the quarters. So I know he's lost to Popperin at the Australian Open before, but like that was still a huge chance to keep going further. Mochizuki, I mean, he won the first set in a bagel, right?
yeah,
But actually, Shintaro played a very inspired tennis for sure in the last third set. In the third set, especially, he was actually like sort of overwhelming Fritz. It is a problem with Taylor's game. I would also say that so
yeah,
many players are getting their breakout wins against him, and it's not
yeah,
an issue. I mean, sorry, it's not an accident. I meant, it's definitely a thing that Fritz is just sort of not imposing enough in these moments. He's also
yeah,
not. He doesn't have the variety. He doesn't have the full repertoire of other top 10 players. So you have I don't know, Ibing Wu beating him in Dallas. You have Jiren Zhang beating him in Madrid.
yeah,
I guess there's another non-Chinese, non-Japanese example, but that I'm not coming up with right now. But it is a thing. It's not definitely not something accidental that Shintaro Mochizuki comes back from 2-5 against this particular top player and not another one. And yeah, just has to feel extremely disappointing for Fritz. But I did, of course, have to appreciate what Mochizuki did as well. And yeah, wonder if he's gonna hold up against Popperin today. Coming off that one might be really tough for him for sure.
yeah. I was impressed with how much he was putting Fritz on the back foot, like right from the third shot of the rally, basically every time
Yeah,
Fritz served. Especially that one return game that he played when Fritz was serving for the match. I mean, that was insane. He was just peaking and just hitting balls right at Taylor's shoelaces, and then taking control of the point, coming to the net, using his great volleys. His backhand when he leans into it, it's he's got that sweet timing. It's a little bit reminiscent of Nishikori maybe at his very best in patches, but it's like uh, he's not the tallest guy, and he doesn't have the most natural power, but he's such a good ball striker, and he's really good at
yeah,
timing and like kind of redirecting, I would say, because actually when he has time, he does miss a lot sometimes on his backhand, and he can just look kind of out of balance. But then when he's playing somebody who gives him power that he wants, I feel like he's very good at like absorbing that pace, and he can. He just got so used to Fritz's ball, and it's almost like he could read wherever Fritz was going, and
yeah.
just the direction of Fritz's shots. It wasn't varied enough. I didn't feel like he just kind of he ran into an opponent who just peaked and played his style of tennis, but just a lot better, and maybe used his athleticism a bit better. And I think about it now, Fritz has lost so many close matches this year where it's just like, oh, he could have done way better, I think back to even like Monte Carlo, he was up a break in the third set against Rublev. Then he had these match points against Young in Madrid. And then he had like, I mean, he was 2 sets to love in a breakup against Eber at Wimbledon. Never should have lost that match. And then he was up. I think there was that first set that he lost against Diminor where he was up like 5-1, 40 love, 5-1, 40, 30. I think on serving for a breadstick, and he ends up losing. And okay, Diminor, like is a challenging matchup. He ends up going and getting to the final, but it's just like too many of these matches. I feel like for Taylor this year, where and yet still, he is what, 9 in the world, still within a chance for the ATP finals. I guess because I think it really helped the United Cup really set him up well, because he ended up getting more points from that than his 250 title, basically, because I think he got 300 points at United Cup, which is more than a 250. So ended up getting that, and then got his 250s. But it just seems like he's played so much, and it's just he's kind of in the top 10 right now based on quantity instead of quality. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, he is only there based on his consistency, and
Yeah.
that's
It's
really
just
it.
because he's basically playing every week, and so he's
Yeah, and
winning
making
so many.
semis like half the weeks he's playing in.
Yeah, but a lot of 250s. So that's kept his ranking, somewhat 9, 10, 11, which is a
Yeah,
little different from last year, because last year he had like two or three really great results. and
Indian
then
Wells, Wimbledon. I mean, Wimbledon wasn't for points, yeah, but yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, right.
I guess he maintained his top position, but it's like
In a different way, and
yeah,
certainly somewhat less exciting. Like
yeah.
it's just a way that makes you think, okay, maybe he's kind of peaked already, and yeah, it is like the things that you mentioned. They are basically another sort of way why many players get their big wins against Taylor Fritz.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Mochizuki is sort of another one to join the list. But yeah, if you win a bagel against Mochizuki in the first set, you're Taylor Fritz, you're 5-2 up in the third. And even though Mochizuki played one of the best games of his career when Taylor was serving for it, I mean, you don't really want to be dominated by Shintaro Mochizuki for 4 points on your own serve. And that's really what it was. Like, Fritz
The
just
tiebreak was a
never
bit
really was in
disappointing too. That
control.
the tiebreak that he
Hmm.
didn't know you're 2-5 down, but then you don't win either of the next 2 points, and then
Yeah, on serve as well. Yeah, I
yeah,
remember the match point. I don't remember the point for 6-2, but the match point was just like
yeah,
a return volley combo, right, from Mochizuki.
yeah,
Like, very quick one to punch. Yeah. And then you were also, I think, describing Mochizuki, and I sort of just had this thought that you're basically describing all of the Asian underpowered
yeah.
juniors
No, I mean
trope,
this is
right?
this is the style
Like
of play
he's
that
the
they play with.
quintessential, yeah, he's a
Yeah,
quintessential Asian junior, basically.
yeah. I would say Nishioka is a little bit different, but
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
lefty, and
Nishioka is like Leila Fernandez on the WTA, kind of in how they play, and they
okay,
use
yeah,
the
that makes
speed.
sense. That makes sense. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was this time last year that Nishioka ended up winning a title and doing well in Asia, and so I don't know. That maybe that's why it came to my mind. But I do remember like
Did he
Japanese
win
players.
Seoul
No,
or
so yeah, he
Seoul?
beat
Yeah.
Shapovalov in the final, and it was like two very different type of players.
Yeah, I remember
Playing in the final.
Kovacevic in the semis, and that was all I remembered.
Yes,
So I sort of just guessed that it was Nishioka winning the title.
yeah, no, and then yeah. Last year was Washington and Seoul, although he lost in the final to Kyrgios. But yeah, uh,
Alexander Kovacevic, by the way, still with a chance to break the top 100 this week, and
mm,
actually he needs to win in Shenzhen. But if you look at the draw, like it is super possible for him to go back to back and into the top 100. And it would be quite heartbreaking if he actually never got there this year, because at one point he was even in there live, and he had to
yeah,
rely on
it
Luca
was.
Van Asch losing his semi in Sanremo. It was on
Uh,
the other side of the world, and he was just, if Van Asch wins, then he doesn't get in, and if whoever Van Asch was playing, maybe Shevchenko wins, then Kovacevic gets in. So
right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess. Do you think Svida can crack the top 100 next year? Because
uh,
I don't know if he can get much higher, but he's still pretty.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think we talked about it after he won that Tiburon title again.
Yeah.
But since then he
Then
got
then he
more
won another
points.
one, so it's like
Exactly.
it's he's
S-
lifting his ceiling, his floor a little bit.
that's why I'm doubting myself right now.
So,
Um, well, well, I guess if you think about it, at the beginning of the year, he didn't even play the Australian Open this year.
no,
Not that much done in February, even though he actually had a lot of matches, but it's just a couple of challenger runs. Sunshine Double as well. He's gonna have his chances there this year. Last year only played Indian Wells qualies.
mm.
Clay season probably awful, and
Yeah,
grass
he doesn't like the
probably
clay.
not
He
great as
literally says he
well.
doesn't like the clay. So
I think it is possible, but it's not gonna be well, unless he keeps winning. Basically, this at the tail end of this year, it's gonna be, at this point, I would say it's like, I don't know, 50-50.
mm,
I don't know. It's not gonna be like he's probably not going to be one of the main contenders to do it. But after the Fairfield title, another 75 points coming his way, I do sort of start doubting myself whether my original assessment was okay.
mm.
Um, where is he in the rankings right now? I cannot even
I
find
still
him.
remember the match he played against freaking was it Paolo Lorenzi? at the US
Paolo
Open.
Lorenzi, yeah, yeah,
When he basically like he was like 16 and he basically hadn't done like
yeah.
any fitness and he was two sets to love up and then found himself in a fifth, like basically getting Lorenzi in the fifth.
Yeah, and
So
also I think that year he also
he won the
played.
Kalamazoo, right? That year, I think he won Kalamazoo and he beat
He
someone
won
good.
Kalamazoo twice to get into the U.S. Open, I think. But at the U.S. Open, 2 years later, right, he beat Shakinato and lost to Sinner,
Yes, yeah,
winning a set. So basically, anytime he's at the U.S. Open, he is peaking. I mean, even this year, you could argue he qualified and lost to France Cerundolo in 4 sets. But yeah, this thing that I used to say about Svaida was that at 16, that match that you're referring to against Lorenzi, he had like a very mature game for his age, and then now he still has the very same game, and it's
it's
not
very
mature
similar.
for his
Yeah,
age anymore. But that's not really true. I feel like, watching him the past winning 3 out of the last 4 challengers, I feel like he's actually playing using his skill set much smarter than in the past. And
yeah.
yeah, the passes on the run that he produces are just magical. So I do wonder if maybe he's actually made the step up. He's never gonna be, Taylor Fritz or someone like that, right? But um
But
you could
he can get
him.
physically stronger. His serve can get way better. So those are like some areas, like because
Good.
he still doesn't have a full like, you know what I mean, like a full fledged service motion where
Hmm.
it's like
Yeah,
he's pronating and he's like getting all the power behind it. It's still somewhat like of a serve that you would have in juniors, and sometimes it works. Like you can still hit his spots really well, but it's just he looks like someone in the juniors who is just a really elite ball striker, and just like a very like technically sound player. But I
yeah.
don't know if he has like the weapons
That's
quite yet.
fair. And also,
Like,
one thing that we have to remember is that, he's won 3 of the last 4 challengers he played, but most of these American events recently, I mean, they are a lot weaker than the ones in Europe. So,
yeah.
you wouldn't get him playing, let's say, Nishir Basavaredi and Adam Walton in finals in
That
Europe.
was a big
Well, Adam
surprise.
Walton
I
maybe, but
remember Buster very ready from the juniors, and like I think he was playing like 12s when I was playing 14s, and
hmm
I remember seeing that kid play. I would have never imagined he'd be in a challenger final. Like seriously, like I watched that kid play, and I'm just like, I mean, he's good. He was really good, but like I didn't think he was,
yeah.
gonna
Top 10
be.
junior, top 10 college player,
Yeah, yeah. No,
maybe top 10 senior
no,
soon.
he's
Who knows?
certainly like I would say like he's ahead of where I thought he would be. Like
Oh, yeah.
because I mean, how old is he? He's like 18, right? Like
18,
this.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like so.
Playing for Stanford, yeah.
Yeah. So that's quite a
And by the way,
impressive.
someone who's definitely getting the most out of his serve is Ben Shelton. He again had to save
Yeah.
2 breakpoints, and again, it was sort of a non issue for the American, you could even say. So after 27 minutes, we are still at status quo 3 all, 15 all.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing Ben Shelton hit a pretty good return. I mean, they're still rallying, but I wonder, his return stats must have gone up quite a lot in the last 3 events, right?
Should.
From from being
Yes.
one of the worst returners in the top 50, I think probably even the worst. You could say that.
Yeah.
Both him and Hurkacz actually improved recently quite a lot.
Yeah. For her catch. Her catch is hitting his forehand better, which is good news, I think. I think since Wimbledon he's been hitting it better. Would you agree with that?
Mm, that first set against Zhang in Tokyo this week was certainly super impressive. Like he was actually just blasting it. He loves that sort of half volley-ish motion on the inside in, and
Yeah.
he was hitting it very very well for sure. Yeah, generally for like a set and a half, he was really dominating Zhang with it. It didn't
Yeah.
last mostly mostly probably because he was a little tired, and of course
Yeah.
Zhang is a very dangerous player to him as
He
well.
started cramping in the third set, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, yeah, and he was like super theatrical about it. Like he was on the floor probably like 5 times in the
Uh,
deciding tiebreak.
yeah.
He would literally just fall into his towel rack on a few
Mm.
occasions. So yeah, he did have cramps, which is understandable. It's
Yeah.
good for him that all of the other ATP Finals contenders lost this week
Yes.
early as well. Well,
And
maybe
I
Paul and
think he
Emilio
can have
will
a good
become
week. I mean, we'll see about the draw, but I like the conditions for him in Vienna.
for him in well, he's actually isn't he actually playing Basel this year? Didn't he
Oh,
make the
he is?
switch?
Okay, wait. I did not check the whether he's
I
playing. I
thought
just assumed
so.
he was playing Vienna, but let me see.
Yeah, he usually played Vienna, but I think he actually made the switch to Basel this year.
That's an interesting choice. I like.
At least that's what I've been putting in my tweets.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know what to think about that honestly. It should be faster.
Yeah.
That's both good and not good for him, I guess, in different
Mm,
ways. But yeah, I like that call actually. I want to see how he does in Basel,
mm,
and indeed he is playing Basel. Yes,
mm.
he is the fourth seed in there, and Felix indeed has picked up a wild card. By the way, I don't know if you saw that, but
I did. Yes.
but yeah, a few months ago we were chatting about him not signing up for any tournament in the Basel Vienna week, and I wonder what the decision making there was, and how this came to be. Of course, he is the defending champion in Basel, and I'm not surprised they gave him a wild card. But if it was just a thing of yeah, I missed the sign up, that's kind of weird, but
Mm.
whatever, really. Doesn't really still steal a wild card away from anyone because Stan Wawrinka pulled out anyway, right? Or like not pulled out, but well, got into the main draw automatically, and
Yeah.
they were able to give another one to Ridi. So I think both Hüsler and Brunold, so the qualifying wildcards announced for now, they weren't really worthy of a main draw spot right now anyway. Although Hüsler could actually use it with how much he's been struggling. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
no
it seems
Karl.
like basically everyone except for Rublev. Maybe
Uh-huh.
Tsitsipas this week if he actually like wins more matches, but it feels like everyone in that 5 through 10 spot has just basically been not performing up to their best right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
And
like it's like the race for the fourth seed at the U.S. Open. That's what it is. Basically, like Runa ended up getting the fourth seed, but that's just because everyone else
yeah,
lost.
he only had one match win since Wimbledon, and well, actually didn't have at the time even, and
Yeah,
he still managed to get there. Yeah, and Zverev, we were just like 2 weeks ago, we were making the case for him to be a top five player right now in terms of
mm,
quality, and
not anymore.
he's
Now
sort
it's
of
Rublev.
showing that he doesn't want to be there. I know Safiullin and Thompson, I mean, tricky matchups, but especially against Safiullin, you can definitely forgive him that. But against Thompson, he needs to be winning matches like that if he's truly gonna be called a top five player. So sort of Rublev made his case for being there, and well, he's not playing this week, so
Mm,
maybe he also would have flopped. Who knows?
yeah,
And Tsitsipas choosing to go to Antwerp this week and might actually get a good run out of it. Hanfman is a tricky customer for sure, but
yeah.
even getting a win on the board and some more play time, that's nice for Steph. Last year he obviously played Stockholm, losing to Rune in the final.
Today he came back from 2-4 down against BVDZ. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
started playing
it's
better
it's
at the
funny
end.
that you said today. It's
Oh
how
yeah,
time zones work.
oh
Yeah, but
yeah.
I mean, for you it is today. Yeah,
For me, yeah,
technically in the sort of
it was
tennis
about
world, it was yesterday, but yeah.
yeah, it was about 10
Um,
hours ago for me. But yeah, it's
I mean, it was about 10 hours ago for me as well. That's how it works. It's
yeah,
just
10
after I
hours ago
slept.
what is it right now? 9. Yeah, so it would have been around 11
It's
a.m.
gonna be especially confusing soon because there's this couple of Australian challengers in Playford and Sydney, I think, and sometimes they will start play at like 1:30 a.m. for example. So it's already gonna be next day, but
Mm.
for me it's not gonna feel like it.
When does the wildcard challenge start?
Um,
That's like starting sometime next week or something.
it definitely covers Ismaning already. I think it might have been written up to cover the Las Vegas Challenger, but the Las Vegas Challenger was cancelled.
Yeah,
So let me
because of
actually
the
check that.
because of the F1 races, by the way.
Um,
It's
didn't
kind
I
of
tweet about this? Why don't I have the announcement here?
interesting. Max. Okay.
Okay, here. So it begins, yeah, October 23rd. So I think that was, yeah, the week when Las Vegas was supposed to be held, but it's not held. So it's actually going to be kind of interesting to see who even plays in that window, in the first week of that window, because you have Adam Walton in Europe. He's no, but he's not American, of course. I was just thinking of him as American because he just plays in the States all the time, being a former college player. So basically, you're not gonna have many Americans playing in the first week of it, really. Cressy,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, is in the Brest field. I didn't actually check that, but
I'm curious to see if Nakashima plays them. I think he would need to. Might be smart for
yeah,
him
he should.
because
Cressy is actually not in the Brest field, but he will be playing Basel or Vienna qualifying. So yeah, he goes there. Then he also has his chances in Ismaning Helsinki. I think Cressy might be, one of the main contenders for sure. But then again, if he wins like a challenger or something, he might make the main draw automatically as well. So we might have another situation like last year. Kovacevic as well. He's on the verge of like going for the automatic MD spot. Alex Mikkelsen for sure, also in a similar position. So I don't know. It's going to be quite tricky to predict. Mikkelsen is just staying in the States, playing Charlottesville and Knoxville, and that's probably
it'd
where
be
a
quite
lot of
crazy if
them
Spider
will
like
be.
continued and like ended up winning Charlottesville or Knoxville or one of
It
these, and
could
then
be, but
he just got straight into the main draw of AO because he's what 135 something like. What is he in the race? It's
um,
like 135 or something. So if he,
yeah, more or
I mean,
less.
he'd have to be.
I mean, if he did a Ben Shelton last year, so three
Yeah,
consecutive titles, yeah, then he would.
yeah,
But
he's like Brooksby did it in 2021. He won 3 right in a row, and then well that was at the beginning of the year, but
I don't
and
know.
then
It's gonna be quite tricky to definitely to predict who gets that wild card from the states. Nava, I wouldn't count out as well, playing
yeah,
on these indoor hard courts. Nakashima is just playing a series of challengers, but it's in Europe: Brest, Bergamo, Helsinki. So that will make it a little tougher, I think, for him. Although he is playing in that Brest week, so 2000, so October 23rd, which is it seems most Americans are going
that's
to
a good
be.
week. That's a good challenger for
Um,
him. He's won that before,
um,
I think. Yeah, he won that in 2021.
he won Quimper at the beginning of the year. He also
Okay,
won
okay.
in
Maybe I missed it.
Cary, or like Orlando or something
Maybe
like
it's
that
the Quimper one. Yeah, maybe it's
at the end
Quimper.
of 2020. But did
Yeah.
he win Brest? I'm
No,
not
no, you're
sure.
right. Maybe he didn't win that one. Let's see.
Oh, he won both Quimper and Brest in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
So and Orlando as well. So we got all of them right as a combined effort.
Yeah, I mean,
That Brest run seems very. I don't know. Why don't I remember it
very
better?
unfortunate. I mean, literally, Brandon could have played Nadal, Australia. He could have played Alcaraz at the French. He could have played Djokovic at Wimbledon, and he could have played Djokovic again at the U.S. Open if he was in better form.
This year, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, so the Mackie McDonald match is where he actually hurt his knee. 'Cause he came back from the
Australia,
first
yeah, yeah.
round, and then he got into a fifth, and then that's when he injured it, and then I think didn't take enough time off. Like maybe came back a little too soon. He was kind of playing with the strapping on his knee for a while, and then play season was always going to be tough. Although he did have a very good run in Lyon. He played that third set tiebreak against
Yeah.
Fils.
And by
Uh,
the way, Shelton is now making
he
his inroad. He did go to
is,
love 30 here in this game. He lost the next point, but this one he wins with this combination of a loopy moonball forehand and then just blasted down the line on the next shot.
yeah.
40-15, two break points, and after saving for himself in two different games earlier, he now has his opportunity that he will be trying to not to waste. Decent block return as well.
Oh, and that's the forehand. He tries to go down the line. Wasn't a bad play, but he just missed it in the net and didn't get enough height over the.
Yeah, Tommy Paul misses that forehand down the line. Lots of good patience and rally tolerance from Shelton again, and also
Yeah,
the returns. Like he's just putting it back
it's
in.
very smart to just
Um,
block it back and play
yeah,
and not go for too much. Against certain players that might not be very useful, but I think in this matchup it's proving to be
yeah.
successful so far.
Some players would like maybe run around it here and then smack it for a winner already. That's sort of a return. But Paul, you sort of gave him that,
Yeah,
let's say, ball between the service box and the baseline. Just not much on it. Of course, it's just a block return, but it just allowed Shelton to be in a neutral rally, and then he, well, hit a
yes,
couple of quality shots. Eventually, got the error from Paul, and it's that sort of smarter play that we've been seeing from Shelton quite a lot recently.
very good point at 15:30 with the
Yeah, that was probably the best one he's played so in this match, really, given the circumstances and where it was in the actual set. So
yeah,
now Shelton will have to serve it out, but he did put himself in that position with a really, again, really intelligent, sort of more patient game than what he has used us. What he used us to in the first half of the season, what he got us used to. So experience getting there.
yeah. Of course, Karatsev also having a very good week, beating Zhang pretty straightforwardly.
Yeah. I would like him to win the title. That would be a very Aslan Karatsev thing to do. If he just peaked
Yeah.
for a week and won a 500, also stealing the spotlight
Is
from
this
Paul and the Minot.
that would be his fourth semi of this year? Is that right? Because he made at the beginning of the year he did something. He made the semis of Pune, I think. Yeah, semis of Pune, and then semis of Madrid,
Madrid, of course, yeah. And
and Zhuhai, I think also. Yeah, Zhuhai he made the semis.
oh jeez, I don't remember that at all. But
Yeah,
he generally since
yeah,
Madrid, I would say his level has been a lot more consistent than people
yeah.
probably give him credit for.
Well,
He's
his
lost a
time
couple
draws have
of,
been tough as well because Dimitrov
yeah.
first round of Australia, that's not easy, and then second round Tiafo where he had some chances but he didn't
Yeah, he
finish
should
well.
have won the third set, and then when he didn't, he just completely went away.
Yeah,
But even at Wimbledon, he played Rublev for four sets.
yeah, that's
U.S.
yeah,
Open, he loses to Shelton.
yeah,
So yeah, basically, I think recently he has been actually much better than people think. Although it's still Aslan Karatsev, he's gonna have an awful loss
yeah,
somewhere, or like he's lost to Hisler in Cincinnati, for example,
yeah,
where Hisler is not winning matches at all recently. Yeah, since Eastburn, Hisler has two match wins. One of them is against Karatsev, and the other is via retirement. So
yeah. I mean,
obviously,
last
he
year was
he,
just
he served
awful
for
for
the match
him.
against Hurkacz at the U.S. Open,
Last
but
year was just like, I mean, last year all you had was just a six. All you just had was basically 2 weeks of good Karatsev in the beginning and then nothing. Like
yeah.
the rest of the year, it was just like poor
And I
rough.
know some people will say that it's because of fixing. But
Yeah,
he's
I
not
know.
fixing all of his matches. If
They
he's
said that
still
in.
fixing, I don't know. He definitely used to in the past. If he's still fixing, I don't know. But it's not like he's fixing all of his matches. Like all the mercurial nature of his game does not come from fixing. That's
Yeah,
that's not 100% of it, at least.
yeah. I'll tell you what,
Uh,
he's very stoic as a character, but I've seen him break a lot of rackets. Like he's one of the guys I think on the tour who breaks the most rackets. Oddly enough, you wouldn't
ye-
expect that, but actually he is. He's one of those
well,
guys that really bottles it up, and then when he gets really angry, like I've seen him just like if you actually like go on YouTube and you search up like Smash Rackets like compilation, like you'll find Karatsev in there a lot.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I ever really felt like from the first time I watched him, he seemed like not a very pleasant person. I'd say. I
Mm,
don't know. I
yeah.
mean, maybe he's really nice to talk to just on a private level, sort of. But on the court, he always just seemed like he has a lot of bottled up anger.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm referring to. Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
that's kind of similar to, for example, Laksonen, who has this sort of Finnish quality to him,
Mm,
for sure. Oh my goodness, that volley that Ben Shelton just missed for 5-4. I mean, to his credit, he didn't have that much time on it, but still, you expect to make it 100% of the time, really. So, chance to break it back for Tommy Paul. Laksonen is, of course, very different because he shows like even less emotions than Karatsev, but when he actually shows them, you know that it's like a real moment for him. Like when he smashed a racket, I was really scared, for example, because he usually just doesn't react to anything.
yeah.
And when like Soden smashed the racket, I just knew that he must be incredibly pissed.
Yes.
Oh, looks like Ben Shelton will have to survive another one of these longer rallies against
Oh,
Tommy
and
Paul.
Tommy Paul's forehand in that rally was very good at constructing the point, and then he finished it off with a beautiful backhand volley. So that was well
Yeah,
played.
it had to be like 25 shots or something, and
It was tricky,
honestly,
and
all of them were
I didn't
high
mind the
quality.
slice on Ben either, but Tommy got up to it quickly. Good footwork, pretty good.
Yeah,
Mm,
I know it lost him the
yeah,
point, but it wasn't an awful play. No, it was just the
yeah,
forehand approach shot from Paul being excellent.
yeah. All right, well, looks like the set is totally up for grabs now.
Max says she hopes that Shelton can win a title soon. Yeah, absolutely. I remember sort of stating as a prediction at the beginning of the year that Shelton was gonna make a final on the ATP tour this year, but I feel like I already sort of got it right. Because
Yeah,
if you make the semis of the U.S. Open, if you make the quarters of the Australian Open, like it is equivalent to a final.
it is. Yeah,
So I consider that prediction to actually come out correct. I know many won't agree with that, but
I guess you could say yeah. The semis of a major kind of equivalent to a Masters final.
yeah, I mean even a 250, I don't want to go into 1,000, but just 5 matches won. Um, Basically, if I wasn't really thinking of a final. I was just thinking what sort of result can Ben Shelton have on his first year on the ATP tour, right? And I was like, okay, getting to one final. Probably wasn't thinking of a slam. I was thinking of like Atlanta or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And well, maybe in that sense I wasn't right because I wasn't expecting him to get results of this quality. So
Well, I'll tell you what. I expected Paul to win a title this year. He hasn't quite done that yet, although he's put himself in a position to qualify. But
yeah, but
that is one thing that's well. I guess Paul and Corder are kind of similar in that they don't have really like a great finals record, but they're you know consistently getting to them. So
sorry.
Ooh, not quite enough on the lob. So he
Yeah,
did that.
Tommy Paul couldn't even win a challenger title this year.
Oh yeah, Andy Murray.
Defeated by the legend Andy Murray, the Clay Ray or Clay Murray coming back after many years of being off the tour. Clay Ray is again a thing. I'm only just seeing this comment from Jane about both Rublev and Hurkacz looking miserable at the trophy ceremony. Anyway, 6-5 Tommy Paul. We'll see how big not taking that service game at 5-4 will be for Shelton.
This court definitely looks slower than when the women played.
Yeah,
Maybe the balls
I
are different and that's speed difference.
maybe. I was thinking about it earlier because obviously we were talking about the court speed in Tokyo quite a lot when on the Iga and Carlos
Yeah.
show, I guess, and how she played Kudermetova and Huntama and didn't never really felt comfortable with the conditions. And at the same time, I just never really felt like that this week with the Tokyo courts. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, there must be something different in the water. All right, and let's see. Ben Shelton already 30 of up. And also gonna get the next point. So we are heading towards that tiebreak that was sort of envisioned by us a few games ago, I suppose. But of course, Shelton had that chance to serve for the set.
Yep. And he does hold it low. So first set tiebreak it is.
Tommy Paul hitting a one-handed backhand there.
Yep.
Well,
I see that.
trying to hit a one-handed backhand.
Yeah. There was this video today that surfaced from the out of Schwantek, out of context Iga Świątek.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a video of her hitting one-handed backhands in
Ooh,
December of 2020, and
I
she was hitting
must
them quite
check
well.
that.
It was a bit like Justine Henin, just really driving through them very cleanly. And this, yeah, I mean, this was back when she was.
Yeah, I'm definitely watching that right now instead of the Shelton Fall tiebreak.
Oh, what's the first point of this
Oh
break?
yeah, I see it now.
He set up the point nicely with a slice down the line. Got Tommy digging a backhand low, but then just missed the forehand. Plus,
Yeah,
inject pace into it. So,
it's definitely this very old school vibe to it, like Eneo Moresmo maybe.
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah, it's nice. Maybe that's gonna be the next thing, in Iga's game after the off
Since he
season.
comes
They
back
come
from
back.
the off season and is just hitting one hinders.
That would feel very like that would be one of the most shocking decisions ever for someone to switch to a one-hander from a two-hander when you're at the top of the game. Just come back in the off season, a shot that's basically gone in women's tennis.
Yeah. I mean, besides Golubic and
Yeah,
Perry, it's
Parry
really
could probably save it a little bit, like just keep it on the tour for a while, but it's
oh,
basically non-existent at the top of the sport.
and Tommy Paul comes up with a brilliant forehand passing shot off a Ben
Ooh,
Shelton overhead where he didn't quite do enough, although, good defense from Paul to push up that
yeah,
lob as high as he did.
that lob was incredibly high.
Ooh,
If it was an indoor event, probably it would have cut the roof.
yeah, this Paul showing some of his good defensive work. Oh, and then he misses the +1 on the forehand. So we're back on serve. Exactly the kind of forehand that Tommy wants to be making more often. He wants to be a consistent force.
That everyone wants to be making like 100% of the time, really.
No, no. I
They,
mean, when I was thinking about this,
I understand. Yeah.
it's kind of like the shot that Hurkacz missed on the match point against Alvarez. Ooh,
Yeah, that was well. He was a little further back, I guess, and
yeah,
it's also different, I guess, when it's just sitting up like that for you after the serve, and for Hurkacz it was like middle of the rally. But yeah, I totally forgot that point, but now you reminded me how that match point transpired.
mm. Good patience again from Shelton, hitting a lot of backhands down the line. But um, maybe I was starting to think this earlier, but I think Shelton's backhand is more versatile than I had realized. Let's put it that way. I think he's
Yeah,
capable of using it in better ways to set up his forehand than maybe I originally gave him credit for at the start of this year.
yeah. Another thing in that rally was, of course, the sort of loopy recovery with the forehand. He's been doing that a lot when
Yep,
pushed wide to his left side of the court.
he should
Um,
because he moves great
yeah,
and he's a great athlete. So
and that's something that he probably has learned about a lot this year, that he does not have to always rely on his serve and his forehand winning him the points. Maybe his net play. No, it's definitely a different brand of tennis than what he played when he was
yeah,
winning 3 challenges in a row. But he is relying on that athleticism, on the movement a lot, and that's why you can even see him being a very well decent force on clay in the future. Is he the best American on clay? One of the best. He might be actually. Korda is probably way better, but
Korda,
he
I
is
think, yeah, I think
on a
Korda
on
is.
a on a on a good year, because of course this time he couldn't really do much. He was just coming back from the injury. He lost first rounds both in Rome and Madrid, second round at Roland Garros. But generally speaking, it's probably Korda. But Shelton in the next few years, he could be the second one after Paul, and if he can just be better than Paul and Fritz. Well, Tiafoe, I guess, is also there. So Americans are actually not as bad on clay as people think.
No, I think Shelton can be good on it. Oh, and he just comes up with another incredible forehand. It's a beautifully down the line. Did I say that was reminiscent of Rafa?
Yeah, I mean that's a real touch of magic right there.
Yeah. I remember he hit one of these forehands in Shanghai and then he just hit himself in the head. I think that was against Koda.
Last couple of days, I've seen a forehand like that down the line. Who the hell was I watching? I wonder. Oh, Draper. Yeah, Draper for sure.
Yeah. Yep, the question mark continues to be the fitness for Draper. He's
Yeah,
like in a great position to win that match. against Humano.
Put himself and then hit the worst service game of the match, probably at 5-4, but that was mostly due to the physical issues. But
Yeah,
then again, 6-5, he was actually serving okay and
yeah,
blasting the ball. And then it's just 5-4 when he wasn't getting any leg drive and not twisting his back. But yeah, another match which he kinda should have won. Played it very differently as well than against the Minor at Wimbledon last year.
yeah.
Tommy Paul wins the next 2 points, so
Yeah. A very good inside out forehand winner, and then puts away the.
just short point after his serve. So he asks the question of Shelton again: Can you serve it out now?
It is on his racket, two serves. Oh, and yeah, he goes for the same serve that he went for at 3-2, but except just misses this wide. Okay, let's see how big he was here. No, not that big, but a decent amount of work, and he gets the reward. Yep, that is quite a luxury to have a second serve .1 at that at this stage in the title.
Yeah, got the kicker at the body for Paul, and he didn't move away in time. 6-4, 2 set points.
Oh, and he finishes it with an ace.
Yeah, really good set, I think, but for both players, really, for
I think
us
this
as
was
well
the
as
probably the
viewers.
best set that they've played in their rivalry, if you want to call it that so far.
Uh,
I mean, they played this is what the ninth set,
I
right?
don't know if
So
I have the recollection of like all of the sets from the Australian Open.
I would
It's
say like
definitely a lot better than
because
anything from the
I
US.
called the first set of the Australia match, and I think this was higher quality. I mean, I'm just looking at the stats, and it's you know plenty of winners, 15 winners for both of them. Um, Pretty clutch play on the break points for Shelton.
Yeah, and the tiebreak as well was a really high quality
Yeah,
finish, so
um,
that kind of leaves you with a good
yeah.
outlook on the set. Yeah, I don't remember the Australia match,
But
that
I think
well.
that's just a good sign because it shows, yeah, I mean, both of them are just playing at a pretty good level.
Yeah, and it has been super competitive as well, which makes it fun to watch for us. Shelton with 78% of points won on first serve and just 64 for Tommy Paul, which
Yeah.
again maybe kind of shows you that the quality of his returning has skyrocketed recently. Of course,
Hmm.
Shelton was actually still the one getting in trouble a lot more on his serve.
Yeah.
He did have to save breakpoints in 3 games, didn't manage to in one of them, but still an excellent set from both ends really, and
And
it's
it is
just
definitely an adjustment when you're playing against Shelton serve than most top players because actually
mhm,
he still has more room to grow at some point because he can
possibly.
he's known for hitting the big ones in the 140s, but scary thing is his placement can get even better, and
Yeah,
so can his percentages at
his
times. But
his
he's
power on the serve is probably not going to improve all that
no,
much, but
no, no,
his
I don't
placement, his ability to as well to just make the right decisions certainly could.
yeah,
We've seen, the main thing I guess about Shelton's serve is that it doesn't have to be the 145 bomb. He also
no,
has so many different spins to it. So
yeah,
yeah, the potential is definitely quite unbelievable for his serving. And yeah,
yeah,
he gets the first set with a couple of moments of magic in the tiebreak, basically, especially that one of the longer points that he won, and then also, of course, the forehand down the line.
yeah. I remember the match against Sinner in Shanghai. It was Sinner who was under the gun the whole third set, having to save break points, and then he comes back from love four down, wins the next 5 points, and then Shelton is able to put him away. But at that, I think getting a win like that was really big to
Yeah, and
to
it was
hopefully.
really sort of inexplainable to me why Sinner was such a big favorite there for the bookies and like for people.
Yeah.
it just seemed like a 50-50 match. But yeah, it was definitely quite good for Shelton to just get another run somewhere.
Oh,
That
and
his
my goodness, and he was so close to pulling that off again against Corda when he was
yeah,
what 6-1 down and then 6-1 to
so,
6-all.
sort
But
of
really, it was head scratching errors from Corda from 6-1, and he
yeah. I
kind of
mean,
wasted all
it
those
wouldn't
points.
be on Ben really for the most part, but
Yeah,
still saving so many chances, it would have been great for him, but
yeah, that's
more so that devastating one for Corda. But yeah, for Shelton, just getting another run, making this year not about just two events, not about just two
yeah.
appearances. That was also great. Is that a challenge? It is a challenge, and yeah, I thought it was
Oh,
in
yeah, I think that's gonna stay
quite
right.
easily as well.
So Shelton is left 30 down now.
Yeah.
And he's going to serve and volley off the second serve. And he's still in an offensive position, and oh wow, what a pickup!
Yeah, like the speed to that forehand from Paul was just absurd. But
Oh,
he,
I
he,
mean,
he still doesn't win the point with it.
yeah, this is some of the. I mean, Paul is one of the best movers on a hard court, no doubt about it. But not enough there. Shelton bringing the heat, then the touch. Yeah, I mean, Paul versus Diminor is one of those matchups of two of the best on hard court. If we do get that in the final. Diminor has won all their matches, which is, yeah, I mean, he just somehow manages to come through those tight situations more often.
Yeah, not my favorite matchup in the world, honestly,
No,
just because they're sort of similar, I guess.
very
And
similar in how they,
yeah, I'd
you
much prefer, yeah, Paul Shelton or Shelton, or I don't know, Karatsev
know,
playing either guy or whatever. Just,
that's how I
just
feel about
someone who
Medvedev
can
Zverev
contrast
matches right there.
more.
So
Yeah, I mean,
you go
I
ahead.
definitely don't want to watch that anymore.
Yeah. Ooh,
Another seven volley from Shelton. So basically, the only points he's winning this game are that,
yeah, it's
as
nice
he
that
saves the
he has
first
the
break.
option of doing it on the second serve with the heavy kick. The court
Yeah,
seems to be taking that spin really nicely, and he's just getting opportunities to finish at net, which is really ideal when you're not playing your best from the baseline or when you've, wasted one challenge. Although he will have to hit another second serve here. Let's see if
yeah.
he can manage to
Probably not approach it after this. Not
no,
approach after it this time. Yeah, he has not.
rely on your improved patience from the back of the court. Mix in the backhand slice short. And then, yes, and then he threw
Yeah.
this same kind of play. I mean, he's not going very often cross court on the next shot after he hits the slice, but I think that's a good play because he can also, hit the down line forehand well if he has to set it up because it's very likely that Paul is going to go cross court off his backhand. And
Well, he did,
yeah,
but
but he just, yeah, he missed it.
yeah,
So
he missed it, and that's basically a point that he got with that short slice and then getting a fairly deep, not even that risky of a ball into
yeah.
the ball backhand. So
Ooh.
exactly
And
got exactly what he wanted there with that short slice, then
yeah,
backhand down the line play.
and
Another
also,
moment when tennis IQ.
yeah, and this shot right here from Shelton that you see right now with the
Hmm.
inside out forehand, it feels safe in terms
Yeah,
of it's very close to the line, but he's got a good amount of RPMs on it, and it feels like he can hit it consistently actually more
yeah, a
often
lot
than
of
not.
margin, a lot of
So
margin on it for sure.
that is a good hold again from 50. I mean, Paul has to be frustrated that he's had many looks now. I think how many break points has he had? Like six at least. Three different
Six
services.
out of seven. Yeah, there were three games when he was 40-15 up. He didn't take any of them. And there was
Mm,
also one game when he was 40-30 up and he took that break
okay.
point. So
Yeah.
6 out
So
of
that's
seven. Yeah, just
yeah.
2 days ago, I was watching Fierce Layal here on the stream, and I was also
Yeah.
talking about the Fierce forehand in that way that it's just such a safe shot, because of the
Yeah.
way he
So
produces
much
it.
easy power too, and it's
Yeah, easy power plus so much spin that it
spin.
actually
Yeah.
falls back into the court like
Oh,
95% of the time. And
right.
that's what makes it scary, like the Jack Sock or I don't know, Tanasi Kokinaki's forehand or whatever.
Yes. He is another one who I think will crack the top 25 next year. I feel confident
Fierce?
about that. Yeah.
I feel like that's an easy target.
Yeah.
I would put it a bit higher. I just wonder how much higher. If we
Mm.
can go 15, if we can go
I would
10,
say
I don't
in the
know.
first 6 months of the year he can get to. Well, I mean, see, it's a little tough because he also has to defend Leon. He has
Yeah,
that, and then he's got
but that's
a
May,
few goodish
beginning
results.
of the year he has a lot of points to defend, I guess. And I think he also
Mm.
announced that he is going to South America instead
Okay.
of indoor in February,
That can be a
which
good
is
move.
supposed to
Yeah.
be an Olympics motivated decision.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess there's some uncertainty, but I think 25 is like a target that I'm very confident he will
Yeah.
reach. 10 might be a little early. I don't know.
Mm.
I mean,
But
certainly
Shelton,
there's so much room
knows.
for improvement in terms of his slam performances this year. So,
Yeah.
well, Australia he didn't even play yet. Of course, he was ranked like 250 at the time.
Mhm.
So,
And now he knows that he
but
can beat Davidovich Fokina.
yeah, indeed. If he gets to play ADF in Roland Garros round one again, I would like his chances to be more competitive. Although, if he does it again after winning the Lyon title, then maybe I'm gonna change my mind. Um, but yeah, this time it would be a better match, I think.
Mm. Yeah.
And today he absolutely needs to win. Like if he loses to Varias on an indoor hardcourt, no, just absolutely needs to win.
Mhm. Yeah. To me, I guess now we have five Americans in the top 20, if you like, right? And with
Hmm.
Korda, Shelton, and Paul Fritz. But it does really feel like Paul Fritz and Tiafo. Like I don't know how much better they're gonna get from where they're at right now. Whereas if they can
Not
just
that
stay,
much, I
on a
think.
status quo inside the top 15, I think that would be good for them.
Yeah,
Uh,
staying in the top 15 basically for all three of them, I think is a really good result
like,
already.
like Fritz did crack the top five, but it was more, it was like for 3 weeks basically for him.
And it was just sort of convenient, as we said, like even the top four recently hasn't been all that strong. Like it is right now with Sinner, but
Yeah,
before the US Open you had Rune as number 4 seed not winning matches for a month, so
correct.
there was some chance definitely to get into the top 5 without that much of an I don't know, without a ATP 1000 title on your ranking, for example, which
Mhm.
Fritz, of course, used to have, but didn't have when he actually.
But I think, I still I have to think, like it's between Shelton and Korda for like who can actually win a
Yeah,
slam, I think. But maybe I would just lean Shelton just because Korda, like with his injuries, and then also he doesn't move as well as.
actually, Taylor had the Indian Wells title still on his resume, and he cracked the top 5. So,
Yeah,
but he was like about to drop it. So,
yeah,
sorry
yeah.
for the
After Indian
confusion.
Wells, I think he dropped to like 8 or 9. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly. I thought it was like a month earlier or later or something for whatever reason, because that wouldn't make sense at all. But yeah, Shelton Corda. It seems like Shelton should have a much higher ceiling, but
mm,
Corda just maybe more regulation. I don't know. But certainly these two Americans from the sort of bunch right now that we have at the top are the ones that seem like the ones who have not yet peaked.
right.
Whereas Fritz, Paul, Tiafoe, you sort of have the question of how much better they can actually get.
Yeah.
And
We
the
also
answer
also
is
have the
probably
disappearance of
tiny
Brooksby
bit.
and Opelka.
Brooksby, Opelka, Nakashima, yeah. I don't know if
And
Nakashima
also,
belongs in the same category, but with Brooksby he can belong in the same category, I think. With Opelka, maybe not necessarily, but
yeah, Nakashima is one of those guys where if he, I don't know, if he has like let's say a David Goffin like career, that would be like amazing. But like he's probably a guy who I think would be like in the top 50 for a long time. Like he's not there right now, but I think like the ceiling
yeah,
is not as high for him, but I think the floor should be high. It's just
yeah. David Goffin is
that's like a really good career. That's like if he
yeah.
gets to like I don't know like seven.
That would be a ridiculous career for
But Goffin
Nakashima.
was
Like,
helped I think at the time with the field being slightly weaker, so that definitely
uh,
favored him in 2017ish time when
I mean, yeah, that was the year when
there
Dimitrov
was some chances.
went,
Yeah,
reached number three. I know, but like the other years around that, he was probably like what, a steady top 20 player for like 3 or 4 years at least.
fair. Yeah.
So I don't really think that the career high for Goffin is too
No, I don't think he's gonna get to what like
much.
seven or eight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, no,
I
no.
don't see
Yeah.
that, but like
So Goffin basically stayed, finished between 2014 and 2020. He finished all seasons ranked in the top 22.
top 20. Okay.
And he, other than, I mean, top 22 because he had 2 years when he finished 22 in that period, but also he had two when he finished 11th, and that one top seven finish, of course, in 2017. But yeah, I think sort of an Goffin like career for Nakashima, that would be
That would be the yeah.
yeah, that would be overachieving. Let's say that.
Sure.
I do think that.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like I mean, if he had won that match against Kyrgios, which he had chances to do, if he somehow wins that match,
Wimbledon.
yeah, I mean he plays Garin in the next round, and then you know,
Yeah, and it's probably, well, who the hell is making the Wimbledon final?
yeah. I mean he could have made the final. Like it's
Maybe Rafa plays if
yeah,
he is
maybe that's
supposed
what
to play Garin, if he's supposed to play Nakashima or Garin in the semis, maybe it's just Kyrgios he wouldn't play against. He didn't want to lose to Nick again and sort of just feed Kyrgios more arguments in his perennial claims of being one of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
A
He
tweet
does
that I
like
missed from
match up
Nick
against
Kyrgios. Huh?
he does match up against Rafa the best.
Um,
For sure.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
on like a quicker court. Not Djokovic, he's only played him 3 times, but I actually think his matchup is probably worse, even though he
yes.
leads him to
I
one.
don't put much stock in those 2017 wins.
Yeah,
I really
precisely.
don't. Those were not even close to Djokovic at his best. So, but yeah, that'll be interesting if he does come back next year. What that will look like because God knows.
Probably like Nick Kyrgios every time. So once he actually gets something going, he's a top 10 player, I guess, easily. And
I mean, like we saw what he can do when he's like somewhat healthy and or when he's fully healthy and he's like committed, which was like 2022. But that's like as good as it's gonna get, I think. Which is
I've
like
seen
borderline top 10, top 8, maybe.
yeah, last just a couple of days ago, I've seen a tweet from Nick that I missed, and it was actually so fun. I cannot find it right now, but he was basically posting a um, screenshot from the ATP website where he was high up in the serve rating and also the under
Oh yeah,
pressure
yeah,
rating.
yeah. I do remember that.
I
I was
think he might have
laughing. I was
deleted
like,
it
oh,
because
like,
I cannot find it because I think he might have deleted. Oh no, actually I found it. Okay, July 27th.
oh,
Let me remind you before you open your mouth.
yeah,
Like this is just so hilarious that he's relying on these made up statistics by the ATP to sort of keep himself I don't know uh, recognized. And
yeah,
yeah, I just feel like with his talent he really doesn't need to do that. Like it just kind of shows you that he's insecure about it, or when
yes,
he keeps
insecurity.
saying like there was a moment I think also around the US Open this year when maybe Medvedev beat Alcaraz.
Mm,
And then he says that I definitely don't get enough credit for dismantling him last year.
yeah.
Nah.
Mm.
Yeah, he just feels like a player who should know his worth. And he kind of does, but at
That's
the same time,
kind
he
of
just
part of the
feels like,
problem. Like he
yeah,
just, is not. Yeah, he cares too much. I think at times what people actually think about him.
yeah.
Random people online. I think he cares too much about that.
And he kind of has this defensive mechanism that like not trying that hard and like not committing fully is a defensive mechanism because he's actually afraid
He's
that
too
if he
afraid to,
tried he wouldn't be as good
yeah,
as he
to come
thinks, as he
close.
hopes to, that he would
Yeah,
be maybe. So
because
well,
in some ways it was frustrating because he saw that he can commit himself. He clearly wanted it really bad in 2022. He
yeah,
was more committed than ever. He
and he
was,
got the results. Like I don't think
yeah.
anyone can disagree with that. Like he was
Exactly.
actually, I don't know, a top
But he
five
didn't, he didn't,
player
he didn't win a
quality
slam.
wise that
And
year. I don't
I
know.
think some people thought that, look, him at his best was like, you know, almost as good to beat the big three. But I think, it's like it's good, but it's not like 4 or 5
Well,
in the world.
it was good enough to beat them in individual matches. I mean, he has so
Yes.
many wins over them. Mare was the only one he was sort of struggling against, and of course, only beat him after like the hip injury and all. But well, that's a
Well, I
sick
guess
volley from Shelton. I mean,
in terms of
how
win
how did
percentage,
he even get that? But
wow.
basically, what I'm saying is that he was great against the big three in individual matches. But when
Right.
it comes to just winning 7 in a row, I think even the Wimbledon run sort of displayed how tough that would be for Kyrgios because first up, he got all the help in the world because Nadal withdrew. If he played Fritz in the semis and then played Djokovic, he probably has no energy left whatsoever for the final. And he also still had 2 extremely tough matches against players who like shouldn't be putting him into any trouble, basically on grass. So I think that run definitely showed that just winning 7 matches in
Definitely
a
one of
row in
them.
the best of 3 set format is.
Oh yeah,
Huh?
yeah, too. No, no, yeah, yeah.
I
I know
mean,
what
Paul Jab.
you were talking about. Yeah, yeah. Full jump and
Yeah, I was
sure.
talking about Paul Jab and Nakashima. Probably Paul Jab had an even better chance to beat Kyrgios.
Yes, yes. He had two break points at 5-all in the fifth. I remember.
Yes, exactly. And Shelton is hitting all the ridiculous shots, by the way, in this game. I mean,
Yeah,
that,
I
that
saw all of
forehand
them.
was
Ridiculous. The volley and then the forehand. He
monstrous.
just lasered it. Oh,
I want to see the speed on that, but I don't think they are showing it to me on my feed.
they're not. Yeah, it's got to be triple digits in miles per hour. So I don't know kilometers.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a lot bigger than the shots that
We
usually
like to
usually they
do
show it
things
when it's
differently.
like 90 miles maybe, and I think that was at least 100. Yeah.
We like to do everything differently in the states, so we don't conform to
Yeah,
the
yeah, I know.
metric system.
Um, I more or less know how the miles go, especially with like serves that are usual for tennis, or
Right.
for speeds, because yeah, I know that 125 is like more or less 200, for example.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to tell you like how many kilometers an hour is 40 miles, but I know the ones that are most
Mm,
commonly associated with tennis.
that's good. Yeah.
It is awful though. Shame on you. Uh, as the American nation, shame on you for doing it like that.
I can't even disagree. Like we're like the only people that do it. So even Canada does not conform.
Thankfully, although I guess it doesn't really impact my life in any way, but uh, I am grateful to the Canadian nation.
Good draw for Felix to
Yeah,
play Giron in the quarters.
3-0 head to head against Giron. Obviously, this was maybe a bit of a different Felix moment when he played him last, even. But yeah, you still gotta like that opportunity for him. so much. And this is already when he starts defending all of these points. So far, kind of insignificant drop in the rankings, I would say, after this week, but there's going to be a pretty major one in the next couple of weeks with 100, how many points? Well, over 1,000 points to defend.
500
And
plus,
some of them he actually sort of cannot defend because it's the ATP finals. But
well,
yeah, he
1360
could go
plus,
better in Paris, and that would be yeah.
1360 plus 200, so 1560 points. Is that right?
Yeah, and I mean, some of them he's already dropped, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, he's gonna drop on Monday, but I'm talking about the live rankings. Yeah, but you're right. Basically, right as it stands right now, if he loses to Giron and doesn't win a match over the next couple of weeks, he would go down to about 880 points, which presently is less than JJ Wolf or Miomir Kecmanovic or Jordan Thompson or Zheng Zhang have. He would be at around 60 in the rankings, which honestly, Zheng Zhang has been a stronger player than Felix Auger-Aliassime this year.
Yeah, I would say like it's
Jordan
not,
Thompson as
it's not
well.
awful because he did have some decent-ish results, making Indian Wells quarterfinal, and he basically only lost to Medvedev in the Middle East. So
Yeah.
not much you can do about
February
that.
February was probably his best moment of the year so far, for sure.
Oops! Wait, what the heck is wrong with my camera?
Not sure.
You can't see me, right?
No, it's all black. I could see that you were like maneuvering something with the camera. You had your
Yes, I was
arms like
trying to get
that.
more. I was trying to get more light on my face because I have
Okay.
this new ring light that I'm using for podcasting. Because for some reason my room, like, someone told me that I need more light. Okay, I would just actually. I'm probably gonna come out and come back in.
Okay.
So just yeah, I'll be backstage.
Yeah, so I will add Vansh in a second when he's up again. In the meantime, Tommy Paul cruising towards the hold at 3-all, or 4-3-all in the second set. Obviously, if Shelton can keep holding, then the pressure here will be on Tommy, given he is serving second and he lost the first set. Doesn't look like he will threaten in this game, though, although he is at the net now, and that would have been a sensational shot from Tommy, but he doesn't do it. Looks like your camera is out again. You can probably reset it in like the settings or something, but I don't know if that actually helps or not. Yeah, now Vansh will try to connect his cam again, I guess. We'll see if that works. Anyway, Tommy Paul 40-15 up, and that's a big serve to get him to 3-all after all. So that 1 point with Ben at the net didn't really matter. But yeah, great match so far. Very competitive. Still no clue who's going to win it, and that's what we were hoping for, right? That's what we wanted to get from Ben and Tommy today. Was it worth it to wake up at 6 a.m. for that match? I think by now I have, woken up enough to tell you that it has. Oh, hello, Vanch.
Oh, here I did the celebration with the phone.
Actually, last month, yeah, when I was in Szczecin, and that was right after the US Open, we were in the club. It was this players' party thing that they hold. Some things I can't tell you, but anyway, the story is that we are just standing in the middle with a friend of mine. We are standing in the middle of the club, literally, and he comes up to me and he does this and that, right? And I'm like, oh, nice. And I also did the Shelton celebration, and then suddenly someone pats me on the back and says, is this your phone? And I'm like, Oh, okay. It actually is. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
really, thank you. And this guy, just because he saw that Shelton celebration thing, he
yeah.
thought we were like looking for my phone,
Oh
and
my
I
god.
didn't even realize it slipped out of my pocket of, from my pants. So somehow the Shelton celebration actually saved my phone in a cloud.
Wow.
It's possible. Maybe he would have found it anyway. It was apparently just next to where I was standing, but anyway, because he saw that celebration, he thought we were talking about a phone. So Ben Shelton,
Oh,
I guess I own you. I guess I owe you one,
yep. When you meet
and
him next time,
also all the other players.
when you meet him next time, you should tell him that story.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
think that Ben Shelton, when I see him next time, is going to be very interested in my
Yes.
story and whatever
Like,
I'm gonna have to say to him, and
if he
he's
loses in the
definitely
first
gonna
round,
remember me.
if he loses in the first round, it'll be a good tournament, good result for him because he'll have heard that story from you,
Yeah,
and
and
that'll
also
be
I'm pretty sure
there.
that he's gonna remember me instantly. From the one time I talked to him for three
Yes.
minutes, 100%.
Yep.
That's how it usually works. I mean, some players will remember you, but when you're Ben Shelton and you're talking to everyone
Yeah.
on tour, and like everyone is interested in you, probably in terms of the media, then yeah, I wouldn't hope for Ben Shelton remembering me after even 5 months.
Yeah. Actually, funny stories. I ran into Jim Courier in Cincinnati. Well,
Hmm.
actually, and Stefano Tsitsipas, but I did not mention the tweet. I really wanted to, though.
And were
Uh,
they? Yeah.
well, actually, like I mean, Jim Courier was doing this thing where he was like outside in a booth, and like in the tournament, like on the grounds, and like basically doing this fan zone
Uh-huh.
interview kind of thing for 40 minutes, and then he was just taking some pictures and doing some things. But I was, as part of the media, I was not allowed to really take selfies or
Yeah, yeah,
do any of
of
that with
course.
the fans. But he was just coming out, and he was kind of in a rush, and I basically I thought about maybe going up to him and then showing him the tweet and everything, but I never did it. I was like, I don't know how to come across, so I never did it. But
A real fun
it was
moment,
very close.
when you show someone the tweet that you made about them, which basically is a huge praise thing for them. And
Yes,
but yeah, it would have been nice for him. He probably
yeah,
saw that tweet from, well, probably from Steph's point of view, maybe from you, well,
probably.
maybe from yours as well.
I don't
It's
know. He's not
possible he
even
saw
on.
both.
He's not even on Twitter, but maybe someone sent it to
I
him.
mean,
I mean,
when Steph wrote it, I'm pretty sure someone sent it to him or showed it to him.
okay, that's good. I mean, Tsitsipas now has deleted that tweet, so but the
Oh,
screenshots are existing. So yes,
yeah.
that was probably my biggest tennis Twitter moment so far. So
Stefanos Tsitsipas stealing your content. Yeah,
yes,
that's a big one. I mean, that's hard to top for sure.
I actually should put that in my bio at some point, but I don't want to really.
Yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense to have it. Yeah.
But there's too much other stuff, so we'll just save it as a footnote right now.
Yeah, maybe Elon will extend like the character limit in the bio for like $2 or something.
Oh God,
And then you can just put in
$2. Oh
Stefanos
yeah, yeah,
Tsitsipas in
I'm
there.
definitely gonna do that. Oh no. Yeah, I mean the $11 a month thing is just ridiculous because yeah, even if you do
It's
make apps,
11 now?
I think for the boot thing it's 11, right?
I thought it started at 8, and that was already way too much for me.
It's at 11. I mean, like the thing is, if I like that's 132 a year, which is like, oh God, that's like. I mean, even if you have some tweets that are go viral, I don't know if it's actually enough to even break even at that point. It's probably not.
I don't know. Probably not, because then it wouldn't make sense for them to have that feature, I suppose.
No,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna pay $11
I
or
wouldn't for sure.
$8 a month.
No.
That's too much. If it was like a $1 a year membership, as they said, I maybe would be willing to pay for that.
I would
Although
pay
I
if it was
kind of
$1. Yeah, I would do
I
$1.
one thing that I sort of wonder, like, would people actually do it? Because I wouldn't want a situation where I pay for it and then I have the membership, but it turns out that 90% of my audience is gone.
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
but then again, if it was just $1, I would pay for it and like not really care all that much. Like, $1, okay. Even if it would turn out that Twitter is dead after a month, I would be like, okay, I just only wasted $1. But $8 a month, no, that's way too much. Yesterday I got a scam
Hmm.
email that really scared me, because it was like about my antivirus subscription renewing, and it was three
Oh,
hundred and something dollars or something like that.
wow.
But yeah, I thankfully did realize that it must be wrong, because I don't even
Hmm.
have one. So
Do it right now. Let's see. Premium. If I do it, if I get the annual membership, it's 115 a year. Which
115 a
if I get
year.
if I get it monthly, it's $11 a month. But it's $11 a month if you do it on your phone.
Uh-huh.
So if you do it on your phone, it's $11 a month.
So it's different on your phone and what?
But if I did it on my laptop, how much would it be then? Is it still the same or is it less? Let's see. I am an individual. Subscribe. Yeah, it is less. Interesting.
That's so
Wow.
weird.
Yeah, it's $8 a month if you do it without using a smartphone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, still not
Yeah.
worth it though. Still not worth it.
$8 a month, and there's a little sort of bundle thing for a year, but
Yeah.
it's actually not that big a difference, at least for me.
Yeah, it is like 84 a year versus 108 if I did it. No, or yeah. I mean, no, my math sucks. It would be 96 instead of 84
Yeah,
if I
it
did it.
says save 13% here, so I guess it's
Yeah.
13%
Yes.
of $8. So yeah, I still don't feel like it's worth it
No.
for me at the moment.
Okay. I don't know. I used to have this like urge of like whenever something really big happened or like a
Hmm.
match or like like a controversy or something, I'd be like, oh, I need to tweet about it.
Oh,
But
and
like
by
I
the way,
don't know, like
Van Shelton has just broken, so he's gonna serve for
yes,
it.
we should have. I should have seen actually. I missed the break point. Let me go back and watch it. Oh, I was watching until the break point, and then something happened. Yeah,
We
that's
gave
funny.
we gave the platform to Elon, and then we missed Shelton break.
Oh, a good block return followed by Paul coming in on a backhand and then getting passed by Shelton backhand down the line. Passing shot winner.
13th
28
ace as
points.
well.
Yeah, but Paul really did not do enough with that approach, and he paid the price. But it's the block return really that neutralizes it, and it gets Ben into these rallies, and then he's able to use his improved baseline acumen and dig himself out of the situation. Nicely done. And I guess now it is 15 love, right? Or am I behind?
Yeah, it's 3 match points already on my stream, and I was a little behind you earlier. So
40 love, yeah, 40 love now. Okay, wow, that was quick.
yeah, there was an ace for 30 love, and then a serve and volley for 40 love.
Yep, I've got to say, pretty impressive for Shelton to come through this again. Well, turns out it was a let, so he will get the first serve, and he finishes it with an ace.
Yep, great angle
And
as well. What a
Brock's first
performance!
Vinny is in another semifinal.
And that's the third event in a row where he wins 3 matches.
Yeah, really well done. Not much of a celebration, probably out of respect for his compatriot. Um, but really well done. Very composed. very clutch on the break points, which is something that is he's been doing very well because of the match wins and the confidence and good use of the block return. I like what I saw from Shelton today. It was definitely continues to be quite a big problem on the tour.
Yeah, and he's used all of that experience of like losing matches in the first half of the year to actually become a better player and
Yeah,
to start winning even more. And I mean, even more to start winning. To this actually gets his win
and
rate for the
he never
year to
panicked
over
whenever
fifty
he was losing these
percent.
matches. He kind of took it on the chin and figured out how to improve from it.
Yeah, I think that this
He-
gets his win rate for the year to over 50% now as well. Not
yeah,
counting the challenger in Cagliari, just talking
yeah,
of straight up two level matches. I think it's going to be over 50% now, which of course at some point this year, despite the Australian Open quarter final, it was really on the it was really negative.
yes. It really kind of turned after those losses, those consecutive losses to Shank. I mean, at
Yeah,
that point, people were really starting to be like, okay, he's got to start performing now, and he did. He got it back just in time. Because I would say overall, it started to get better right away in Canada. Uh, Canada, and then winning one match in Cincy, beating Eubanks there.
yeah,
Losing
Canada and since he was already
Calgary.
pretty good. I think his returning was still absolutely awful against Zapata Miralles in the first round, and probably
Yeah,
not that great against Tsitsipas or Alcaraz either. But like with the U.S. Open, he really turned it into something else. And yeah, these losses to Shank, even though it seemed like he's a like Yuncheng is going to be a tricky opponent for him with the leftiness and yeah, just sort of the ability to maybe produce angles in the rallies and outplay Shelton off the ground. But yeah, that was definitely when I started being a little worried when he didn't produce at Wimbledon with a very easy draw. And then also didn't do
right.
it in Atlanta, which seemed like one of the best courts in the world for him, and one where he also did well in 2022. Well, losing to Isner in the second round, but losing a very decent match to Isner in the second round.
Yeah, and
But it seems
perhaps
like
even
the
a
concerns are gone now.
decent chance to get to the final. Very decent. Uh,
Um,
will be
he's
able
in
to
the Australia Simgiron half, right? So that's yeah,
correct. I would say he's the favorite to get to the final now.
yeah. I don't think that's a controversial opinion. Yeah.
Um, the question is, what will Aslan Karatsev do, and which Aslan Karatsev will show up, and will it be enough to get by de Minaur, who he did in Madrid, but very different conditions. Yeah, that's probably the match that fascinates me actually. Karatsev versus de Minaur, just
Casa de
because.
Minor, yeah, yeah. I thought
Yeah.
that was like, well, you're probably not gonna watch it, right? Because it's gonna be at like a
No,
very
I'm not gonna watch
weird
it.
hour for you.
I
But
will wake up and see
that
what
was the
happens.
one that was sort of my other idea when John asked us to do a stream. I was looking at the lineups, and I
Yeah.
thought, okay, so one possible option is Paul Shelton for sure. The
Yeah.
one thing I didn't like about it was that it's at 6 a.m. for me, but as we can see, I was fine. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the other was like the Minor Karatsev, but of course you're probably not going to be able to follow that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Benny Bazooka is apparently the nickname that Terry has for Ben Shelton right now. Is that a Brad Gilbert nickname as well? What is the nickname that he uses for Shelton? I don't actually know.
I don't know actually. Does he even have a nickname for him?
I'm pretty sure he must have one, right?
I,
How do I find it if he uses the nickname instead of the name is the question.
hmm.
Gimme Shelton.
Really? Okay, I like mine better. Box office Benny. It's B.O.B.
um, it's
B.O.B.
okay. It's okay. It would, yeah, it's okay. But would I use it over just saying Ben or Benny or Ben Shelton? No,
Oh
but
no.
it's okay. Yeah, Gimme Shelton is a little bit of a stretch. not one of his best work, but give me Shelton. I mean, no, no, no. Just
It
no.
would be quite
I
something
like
if
the song. I like well, the idea maybe, but no one is gonna use it now.
it would be quite something if Shelton wins the 500 a week after Shinwin Zhang wins it. Zhang Shinwen wins it. Because I think they're born like literally a day apart.
Okay, I was about to ask why would that be cool, but I get it. Okay, nine.
And I
Ben was
guess
born on.
because Zhang
Oh, Jesus,
Shinwen
is
is
it
the karaoke
November?
queen, while Benjamin Shelton is
Yes,
like
indeed.
the
Yeah, they are born
Capricorn
within
king.
a
So
day of each other, indeed.
that
And they
is
are actually both at word number 19 right now, by the way.
yes, that's the other
But
thing I
of
was gonna
course,
say. Is like I feel like
if
they're
Ben wins the title, he would be ranked
yeah.
higher than Kinvan.
Maybe that's our next podcast.
The
Definitely not. But
Kinvan and the Queenvan and Bob tennis podcast. All right. So I think that's where we're gonna cut it then.
yeah,
Ben
on
Shelton
that
beat
note,
Tommy Paul 7-6, 6-3. Thank you guys for watching us. Thank you, Vansh. And
yep.
yeah, let's see how he does against Felix or Marcos Giron in the next round. But definitely a stunning performance today, and really smart compared to his usual efforts in the first half of the year.
Yes.
So keeps up the good work, and we will try to keep up the good work at Talking Tennis too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for waking up at 6 a.m. for this. So
No
I
worries.
appreciate that.
I wanted to watch it anyway, but
Yeah.
would I have enough determination to do it? Maybe from the second set onwards or something.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
it was fun. Uh, but it was fun and yeah, pretty good overall for 2 hours. So
yeah.
good way to end it, I guess.
Finish the day for you and start the day for me.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys next time then. I'm gonna click the
Yeah.
end stream button now. So bye.